It's been a long time since I visited Universal Studios Singapore, as the last time I visited there was during the Christmas period in 2022. By the time I returned to the park just recently in March of 2026, a lot of things have changed, prominently the closure of Madagascar to make way for Minion Land. After visiting Japan's Universal Studios last year, in which you can check out in my Japan vlog, I had to find out if Universal Studios Singapore is worth the visit in 2026. With that being said, here is my in-depth review of the current state of Universal Studios Singapore in 2026. Minion Land replaced the now defunct Madagascar area since last year, and now it is home to Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, which itself replaces Madagascar A Great Adventure as the flagship attraction of the area. Based on the promotional materials from Sentosa's website, the ride is based on the US version, which in turn is based on Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast, which itself is based on the fantastic world of Hanna-Barbera. I know it's a lot of history, but I feel better pointing it out. As expected, much like the Japan version, the ride omits the 3D effect, obviously due to negative reception from guests about the nauseating experience from it. For the most part, it is almost the same experience as the Japan version, but with a different layout. To be honest, I actually do like the Singapore version more than the Japan version. There's something about the Japan version that sounded off, and it should be, because the US versions of Back to the Future the ride were replaced by the Simpsons ride. But to be fair, the Japan version of Minion Land has more attractions than Singapore's. But me personally, I only went to Minion Land for Minion Mayhem, and that's about it. As such, the final verdict remains unchanged from Japan's version of Minion Mayhem. A 7 out of 10. Now we move on to Far, Far Away. Now, the only DreamWorks themed area at the park. Nothing has changed so far in this area, so it remains the same as the last time I've been to the park. First off on the agenda is Shrek. Yeah, I have to settle with this still image while I talk about Shrek 4D. Unpopular opinion, I think the attraction looks outdated. To be fair, I like Shrek, but I think it's time for a major change. Into what exactly? I don't know. Anyway, the auditorium interior design of Shrek 4D in Singapore looks half-assed, with the aesthetic of the walls feel disconnected with the wall torches and the royal red curtains. The short film is still decent, but nowadays, people would rather watch Shrek 4D on their TV screens with their DVD instead of purchasing park tickets just to see the same film once or twice. I understand Shrek is still relevant in internet culture, especially with Shrek 5 coming very soon, but in terms of a theme park area, I still think it needs a major change. As such, Shrek 4D, although it is a good attraction for its time, by 2026 standards, it feels outdated. Final verdict, 5 out of 10. But hey, at least there's some enjoyment at Enchanted Airways, right? No. I had to wait for roughly 30 minutes as everyone is queuing up for this junior roller coaster ride. To make matters worse, it was scorching hot outside, so I had to bring my portable fan while waiting. 30 minutes later, we're finally on board the ride. And is it worth the wait? Take a guess. The ride itself is too short. There's no story, there are no characters. I mean, I guess there are characters at the beginning of the ride, but it's more of a blink and you miss kind of appearances. Furthermore, these characters serve no purpose in this ride and are only present just to give riders a sense of story. The worst feeling in this ride is that I've waited for 30 minutes only to be given a ride that will be completed in roughly a single minute with nothing of value. Sure, kids would enjoy the ride, especially people who wanted an introductory experience to roller coasters, but this is a ride that is not worth waiting 30 minutes for. Final verdict, 3 out of 10. First stop in the Lost World is Waterworld. Okay, to be fair, I asked one of the park's staff members nearby and he explained that Waterworld was closed for the entire day during my visit there, and the last time the attraction temporarily closed was back in 2025. Don't get me wrong, Waterworld is a classic attraction. I experienced the attraction in Universal Singapore back when I was a little kid, as well as the Japan version a year ago. But seriously, if Singapore doesn't have the commitment to maintain Waterworld for frequent visits, why even bother have this attraction operating? However, there may be reasons on why Waterworld in Universal Singapore is seldom open that I don't know about, but me personally, instead of leaving the attraction's assets under the hot sun collecting dust, you might as well replace Waterworld with another attraction, probably related to Jurassic World. Oh well, we'll continue our journey at the Lost World, but before we could continue on, time for lunch at the Jurassic Park Discovery Center, in which I ordered a local chicken rice set, a set of satay sticks, and a Fanta slushie. The meal tasted great, but the only issue is how overpriced we had to pay for it. Now we can enter Jurassic Park to embark on Rapids Adventure.
Disappointed!
Unfortunately, I came to Jurassic Park at the wrong time as the ride was undergoing temporary refurbishment. I was expecting the refurbishment to be completed before my visit there, but due to unforeseen circumstances, the refurbishment period was extended. To be fair, it is just temporary and the ride will reopen again. But this is yet again a simple case of bad luck on my part. Instead, the only attraction that I took is a Red Baron style attraction, Dino Soarin', which features pterodactyls as ride vehicles. The experience is basically your standard Red Baron rides that you can find in any carnival or theme park. Push and hold the green button to ascend and release the button to descend. Nothing too spectacular, just a ride for young children to experience. Meanwhile, the merchandise sold at the Dino store does not have the plushies from Jurassic World experience found in Thailand, as well as the Lego sets that used to be sold there years ago. Overall, the state of the Lost World in 2026 is disappointing. Waterworld is temporarily closed for months, while Rapids Adventure undergoes refurbishment, thus remaining closed for a couple of weeks. If the only ride I've been to is a Red Baron ride that is commonly seen in other parks now coated in dinosaur cosmetics,
You know you done fucked it up!
the final verdict for the entirety of the Lost World in 2026 is a 2 out of 10. Next! For the first time in my visit to the ancient Egypt area, I decided to overcome my fear of roller coasters by trying out the Revenge of the Mummy ride with my dad. Surprisingly, I find the ride extremely fun, and the fact that it is a dark ride also adds to the fear factor of the ride. However, despite the adrenaline rush, the condition of the ride in 2026 is far from perfect. For the most part, the ride seems to run correctly with most of the animatronics and screen effects working properly as is. However, on the second half of the ride, I begin to notice that the music, which is intended to play during the ride, wasn't playing during my 2 visits of the ride. Yes, I rode Revenge of the Mummy twice. In addition, the fire effect when the mummy grabs the Book of the Living did not activate. My theory is that the fire effect did not activate due to concerns about the ride's structural integrity, which I can understand why. To give the ride credit, the lack of music inadvertently adds to the fear factor, that being the fear of the unknown. But still, the issues leave the ride 10% incomplete. Overall, despite the minor issues, I find Revenge of the Mummy more fun than Enchanted Airways, because unlike the latter, Revenge of the Mummy has an interesting story, blending the premise from the Hollywood version with the ride layout of the Florida version. Furthermore, the darkness that surrounds you while enduring twists and turns adds to the fear factor of the ride. Final verdicts: 8.5 out of 10, had to deduct 0.5 points for the aforementioned issues. Treasure Hunters is a ride exclusive to Universal Studios Singapore in which one of 4 riders are able to drive a jeep around the track. However, if there's one thing on this ride that grinds my gears is that the vehicle speed is predetermined depending on different scenarios on the track. So no matter how hard you slam on the gas, you still can't barrel through the track. Especially during the climax of the ride, in which you would expect to speed out like a badass. But you can't. I mean, to give treasure hunters credit, the ride includes physical set pieces such as animals and ancient structures. Overall, a decently fun ride for families that wanted to drive a car, but don't expect an adrenaline pumping ride where you can barrel through the track. Final verdict, 6 out of 10. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. My personal favorite, Transformers The Ride 3D. Usually this ride will be crowded due to the fact that I've been to the park during the March school holidays, but surprisingly, the wait time for the ride is not that long. So how does the ride hold up in 2026? Sure, some people would write this off as a clone to the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man from Islands of Adventure, but other Universal parks do not have Spider-Man. So Transformers The Ride is the closest to experiencing the ride system similar to Spider-Man, especially with Japan permanently closing the Spider-Man ride, and I'm not surprised if they're going to replace it with the Transformers ride that has been long awaited there. Now back to the ride itself. Surprisingly, during my visit to the park, the ride is in working condition throughout the operating hours. Mostly. For some strange reason, the hot air effect, which is intended to be triggered after Megatron fires his fusion cannon, did not trigger during my visit there. Despite that, the ride is the same as what I've remembered since 2016, which is a good thing. Now for a final verdict. As a Transformers fanboy, I'll give it a 10 out of 10, but in the lens of a critic though, I'll give this ride a 7 out of 10. It is still great, don't get me wrong, but it's not like 10 out of 10 masterpiece or anything. But okay, side tangent, what happened to the supply vault? Now to be clear, this is not the fault of the park entirely. Hasbro nowadays have been pushing towards more G1 inspired figures, which don't get me wrong, I do like G1, but there's a lack of variety outside of G1. The only movie figures that I found in the supply vault are the Bumblebee movie Beetle Bumblebee 2.0 and TF1 Deluxe Optimus Prime from Studio Series, and the Dark and Moon Deluxe Optimus Prime and Bumblebee exclusively sold to Universal theme parks. Most of the products sold are Age of the Primes, Studio Series 86, Cyberworld, YOLO Park, and Block Keys, most of which are G1 aesthetic. To be fair, I found a collaborative Gigawatt and SS86 Thundercracker at the store, but I have already owned both of them. You see the problem there? Because of the 40th anniversary of the 86 movie, of course Hasbro is going to sell more G1 figures because nostalgia sells.
Buy our toys. This is a toy advert that hates itself. Buy our toys.
Once again, variety is much needed here, but in my case, there isn't. Honestly, seeing Singapore's version of the New York area compared to the Japan version last year, it feels like we're taking steps backwards. Instead of the outdoor feeling in Japan, Singapore's interpretation of New York is replicated under a big roof, which to their credit is for convenience in case of wet weather. Furthermore, Japan's New York is much bigger than Singapore's, thus enhancing the immersion in the Japan version compared to the Singapore version. In terms of attractions, Lights Camera Action is one of the entertainment attractions still existing at Universal theme parks. In the age of Universal chasing towards intellectual properties and screen-based thrills, it's great to see a few entertainment attractions still running to this day, which is one of the original visions of Universal theme parks. Don't expect anything intense, but you will still have a great educational experience about the art of filmmaking. Final verdict, 7 out of 10. Sesame Street Spaghetti Space Chase. What should I say to you? Listen, family rides can be entertaining, but Spaghetti Chase is boring as hell. There's nothing to do on this ride except look at Elmo's reaction on the vehicle screen and the dozens of animatronic set pieces. The entertainment value of that ride can be improved with interactive features such as Zap Blasters to shoot targets, kinda akin to Disneyland's Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters and Legoland's Lost Kingdom Adventure. However, as is, Spaghetti Chase is a slow, boring ride. Final verdict, 3 out of 10. In conclusion, the state of Universal Studios Singapore in 2026 is slightly better than the last time I visited in 2022, but there are still underlying issues that should be addressed. Legacy rides such as Revenge of the Mummy and Jurassic Park Rapids Adventure have shown its age, with Rapids Adventure operating less frequently and Revenge of the Mummy with some of the ride effects not working as usual. That does not mean that they should be permanently closed for new experiences. It's that I hope Universal Studios Singapore address these issues and hopefully enhance their legacy attractions so that they can keep operating more frequently, especially with their stunt show Waterworld, which should deserve more attention by the staff of Universal Studios Singapore and their commitment to enhance that attraction as well. I wanted to have fun in Universal Studios Singapore, but I also have to be critical on the ongoing issues around the park so that they can hopefully resolve these issues in the future. As it stands, the overall verdict for Universal Studios Singapore in 2026 is a 6 out of 10. It is a decent entertainment venue for your holiday getaway, but the insane prices for food and merchandise would turn away budget-minded families. I noticed the blocked off walls near the entrance of the park, which indicates that construction of Super Nintendo World is already underway. Hopefully, the addition of that area makes the experience better when it opens tentatively in 2027. But what do you think? Do you think Universal Studios Singapore is good in 2026? Or do you think that the park needs improvements in their ride experiences? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. We'll go ahead and wrap up this video. This has been Mr. LW, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuce out.